Newsreels is a revolutionary app that makes it easy to compare sources for any news story. Stay caught up on daily news by scrolling your Reels feed. Quickly absorb any story through summarized bullet points. Newsreels lets you see every side of the story. Click the link below to use Newsreels for free. Let's talk to people in the audience. The audience matters, and we take calls via the David Pakman Show Discord, which you can find at davidpakman.com/Discord. We're going to start today with David from St. Petersburg. Now, is that St. Petersburg, Florida, or St. Petersburg, Russia?
Hi, David. Yes, it's St. Petersburg, Florida.
Love it.
Thank you for allowing me to call. I've been listening to the show for about 2 years, and I
Pleasure.
really enjoy hearing your perspective on a lot of issues. You're
That's
very
great, David. And
educated.
please silence those Discord notifications. They're already going off.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. So my question is, I'm pretty moderate, I would say. However, I'm having a little bit of an issue with what I'm seeing sort of out of the left right now. And what I mean by that is I almost see free markets being almost a swear word when I'm having lots of discussions with my friends. And they're talking about how it's a failed system and we have to move past it. And they often use Nordic countries as an example. However, I know Nordic countries to be very free markets that mainly use free markets to generate revenue in order to pay for their social programs, which is great and it works wonderful for them. However, I always hear people talking about a need to move past this system. But I haven't seen any system that works for everybody and creates a society that they want to create, that is equitable and have people be happy and taken care of without a robust free market in order to have taxes that are then taken out of them to provide services for people.
Well, this is just fundamentally a question of what is one's political and economic philosophy. One thing is we've got to first be accurate. When they say we got to move past the free market and be like Norway, Denmark, Sweden, these countries have markets for the vast majority of goods and services. But what they've done is they've said there should be some areas where there is either extremely disproportionate power for things that are necessary in the market, like, healthcare, education, et cetera, where we're going to take things out of the free market. So the first thing is to say we've got to get away from free markets and be like Norway. It doesn't make any sense. A lot of those countries have very good business environments with a lot of freedom. So we have to start with the facts, first of all. Secondly, I am thinking some of the people that you're talking about might be actual socialists or even communists. Is that right? Because for the most part, if you're just a social democrat like I am, you're not saying eliminate free markets. You're just saying there are some areas that should be removed from the market, but it's fine for markets to direct resources on mobile phones, DVD players, whatever the case may be. It's just that there's certain areas where we need more government involvement.
Yes, I agree with what you're saying. The main issues I have is they don't categorize themselves as socialists or communists, or they just say they're liberal Democrats and they look at policies. I believe that they don't look at the sort of the funding necessary for some of these policies as well. For example, when we look at the Nordic countries, they have these ideas that the rich and the wealthy can fund everything, and it's just impossible with everything they say that is available, such as the healthcare and
Well, to a great degree, the disproportionate amount of funding for those things actually can easily come from the very, very rich. But it's sounding like the people you're talking to are sort of all over the place and they may not really know what they're talking about because a lot of these arguments kind of conflict. And, I wouldn't judge these movements by the people you're specifically talking to, maybe would be my advice.
really try not to. I really try not to. It just seems that maybe it's just spending too much time online and just talking to, people that are more of the millennial age. I mean, you're a very, very educated person, and most people that are educated, such as yourself and in the political spectrum, clearly have moved past that idea. However, I just see a very large portion of the voting bloc not necessarily being so well informed as you are, because obviously I bring these points up to you and you're just rightfully saying, "Oh, well, that's silly. That's not actually how it works, and that's not how it is."
Yeah,
It
I mean,
just,
listen, it sounds like you're saying a lot of people are engaging in politics and not having any idea what's going on. And I would agree. There's a lot of that on the left and right, but that's more of a systemic education issue, I would say.
yes, I agree. It's just, uh, I see what you're saying. It's just, it seems that I'm just seeing it more and more from 15 years ago, and I just get worried when elections happen that, well, I'm not saying this is really going to happen. I know it, but maybe 20 years from now, just people voting for policies that could end up being more aimed towards Venezuela rather than a Nordic country that has a very happy, successful population that
Yeah,
does
we're
very
very,
well.
very far from that. There's nobody even proposing a Venezuela type policy right now in any serious way. So
Oh,
we'll watch
I
that. We'll
agree.
watch that. All right, David
Right,
from
right.
St. Petersburg, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate the commentary from you.